Hi everybody, welcome to Push Your Luck video. My name is Eric, and today we're looking at Queen's Necklace. Now this is a 2003 release, originally released in 2003 by Days of Wonder, and this is a reprint by Cool Mini or Not in 2015. So this is by designers Bruno, Cathala and Bruno Faidutti, and this is a 2 to 4 player game where players are trying to gather as much gems as they can, and through use of influence cards and different types of reaction cards and different special ability cards to manipulate the prices of gems and also to mess with each other players, so that in the end when a merchant sale is triggered where you are selling gems, you can be the one that sells the most rare gem and you get points for it. So whoever has the most points at the end of the game will win. So this is like I mentioned, 2 to 4 player game. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes or so. And so let's take a look at what the game components are like, how to play the game, and my thoughts about the game. Alright, so this is what you get in Queen's Necklace. Alright, you get a board where this will be where you put your market cards here. There's also a score track here, as well as a fashion track. So this track here will tell you which gems are the most fashionable. This will give you the most points. Later on, when you're doing a jewel sale, you'll also be placing all these rarity tokens to indicate which gem is rare or not, and that's where you get points from. That's how you can determine how many points you get. This is determined randomly at the start of the game. You randomly shuffle them and just put them where in these locations. The cards, these are like tarot size cards, very big, very nice to shuffle. And also each card, there will be different types of cards that you have in the game. So there's this Queen's Necklace token. I'm assuming this is the start player token. I know that in the previous version of Days of Wonder they had a plastic necklace, and I think this is to replace that plastic necklace. So this is the components that you get in the game. Each player also have a score token like this, like so. It's like a nice plastic token, and this you put it here to indicate your score. Each of these cards will also have this clear token, which will remind players what is the current price of each of the items in the market. So all in all, the components are nice. The artwork is really nice. You can see some of the artwork. I really like the artwork, very nicely done. This is quite plain. Then the jewel artwork is quite plain, but I like the character artworks. Is really nicely done. All right. So cool mini or not, components do not fail to deliver. Now how do you play the game? At the start of the game, each player will have 4 cards in their hand, and this game will take in turn order. So each player will do the entire turn, and then next player will take his turn, and so on and so forth until 3 jewel sales has appeared or 3 merchant cards has appeared. All right. Then whenever a merchant cards appear, you do a jewel sale. So there's a different separate action that everybody participates in. They will sell their gems, and then this is where you score points. Only during a jewel sale is where you score points. When the last merchant appears in the deck, all right, and then you do a final jewel sale, and then whoever has the most points will win the game. So these are shuffled into the deck. There's a way to set this up, which you can see in the rules. So during your turn, what do? You will need to you can play as many influence cards as you can. So now you can see that let me try to find an influence. This is an influence card, for example. So you can play as many influence cards as you can. Usually influence cards will allow you to manipulate the market, change the sale, get more coins to buy jewels, change the rarity of change the fashionable sequence of the jewels here, for example. So those are the influence cards that you can play. Then after that, you must buy at least 1 card from the market. Now each of us will always have £10 to buy stuff. There's no real money. You don't actually give money to the players. You just have an imaginary £10. Then you can buy as many as you can from the market. Now you can see that the prices are indicated by the clear piece as I mentioned earlier. So for example, if I buy the astrologer, it's £9 to pay this astrologer. Diamond will cost 6, emerald will cost 6, and then thief 8 and 4. So as a start player, you will see all these prices, so you are kind of at a slight disadvantage, but at the same time you have first dibs on the cards here, so it is quite subjective. I feel that overall you will still be at a slight disadvantage because a lot of things will change until the first merchant appears. Alright, so let's say for example in this case I can buy this too. I can buy the magpie and I can buy the diamond. So it's 4, 6, 10, so I have enough to pay. So what happens is I'll take this tool and take the cards into my hand. So there's no hand limit. You can have as many cards as you want in your hand. After you're done, all right, you depreciate the value. So those remaining cards you have, just move them down by 1. So now the astrologer becomes 7, the thief becomes 6, the emerald becomes 4, and then you will review 2 new cards from the deck. All right, like so, and then you put the tokens at the highest price here, so that in this way the market prices will always go down for those that are not yet bought, which will make it cheaper for subsequent buys, and then new cards will appear. So this is also where the merchant cards will appear. If the merchant cards appears, then you trigger a jewel sale. So if the merchant card doesn't appear, your turn is done, and you just pass it to the next player. So the next player will do the same thing, play as many influence cards as you can, buy at least 1 card, replenish the market, depreciate those that are existing on the market, and replenish the market. So you keep doing this until jewel sale happens. So jewel sale is where the more interesting thing of the game happens. So when a jewel sale happens, each player from their hand of cards will now set aside jewels that they want to sell. Alright, and they'll set aside jewels of the same type together as one set. So for example, if I want to sell all the rubies, I'll put them together as one set like so. There are also sale cards. Let me see if I can find any sale cards. For example, this is a sale card. Alright. So this sale cards you can add to the particular set of particular jewel that you want to sell, and then they'll usually add benefits to it. So for example, in this case, if you win a sale, sell 1 more jewel of the gem type this card is played with, which effectively means you times 2. I'll explain how the thing works later on. So after every player has decided what they want to do, they put it all face down. Now in the rules, there's a interesting thing where you're supposed to place the first jewel set you're selling face down, then you place the next one face up, then you place the next one face down again. So it is interesting, I guess, because it gives certain information to other players, but they did not describe how to do it, in the sense that is it a simultaneous thing, do all players do it at the same time, or do players do it by turn order? So we just decided to house rule it and put it all face down, because we didn't want to figure out. I mean, it is quite strange that it's not listed in the rules, so we just played all face down, which seems to be the same as the very first Days of Wonder copy rule. So I guess we're playing it still correct in a way. And so we'll play face down. We'll play all face down, and then after that we'll review all our jewels that we are selling, and then we'll sort them according to sets. So first thing you do, you count the total of jewels that you have on the market from all players for each of the jewels that you're selling. So let's say I'm selling 2 amber, for example, and then another player is selling 1 amber, and then another player is selling 1 amber. So in total, there's 4 ambers on the market that's being sold. Then you compare this to the other jewels, and that's where you set the rarity. So whichever, let's say amber, there's only 4, so that's the most rare. So you put the number 1 here like that. So first is the most rarity. It's the most rare among the jewels that's being sold. Then you arrange according to the rest. So let's say the second was ruby, then third was emerald, and the fourth was diamond. So you put this in this case. So this is how you set this track up. After you're done, then you get to sell jewels. But the person who gets to sell jewels is the one that displayed the most of that particular type. So let's say in diamond, let's say I showed the most, I will now be able to sell diamonds, and I'll get points equals to 3 here, the fashion ranking and the rarity ranking. So it's 3 plus 0, so I only get 3 points for selling diamonds. It doesn't matter how many diamonds you're selling, alright, it's just 3 overall points for your diamonds. And then everybody will discard all the cards, all the diamond cards. Even though you did not get to sell, you still have to discard your cards. So in amber, in this case, I had 2 amber, so I get to sell the most. I get 2 plus 3, so I get 5 points. So I move myself up 5 points. Doesn't matter how many amber you're actually selling. And even if you do not manage to sell, you still have to discard all the cards away. Now, if I had that ring just now, so there's, as I mentioned just now, some sale cards will give you additional benefits. If I can find the ring just now. So if I had a ring I attach together with this, right, which means now I get 5. The ring gives me another sale, so another 5, so I get 10 points. Right, so that's what the ring does. And this continues for all the jewels until everybody has done selling and done scoring. All the cards that you have shown for sale, even though you have not managed to sell anything, you must all discard everything away, and then the game will continue. All right. So let's say if you definitely will draw the merchant as you're replenishing the market, you just discard the merchant card away and just continue replenishing the market again. And in this way, the game will continue until the end of the third merchant sale. Then whoever has the most points will win the game. So what do you think of Queen's Necklace? Alright, so Queen's Necklace. There are quite a few issues I have with the game. First and foremost, it's quite fiddly. The market always requires someone to manage it. You always need to shift it down for those things that are remaining, and then you need to replenish it again. It gets to be quite fiddly. If there's one person that's managing it, then the person will find it quite a chore. I don't know how I can improve it. I don't know whether there is a way to improve it, because you do want to let everybody know that the market is actually going down. Maybe it could have been those market where you see that they shift the items down and they get cheaper along the way. So that might be an easier way to manage the prices. But they do need to set different prices for different things. And also when the item goes down to X, all right, the item will automatically be discarded as well. So no one wants the item, it will just be discarded. So there are differences in the prices of some of the items. So I guess they needed this way to manage the pricing of the market. I can see that, but it is quite fiddly. It is quite a chore to actually just keep moving the things down and so on and so forth. Doing the sales part, it is there are cards that you mess around with other players. You disturb other players, you do stuff with other players. So there's the King's card that will protect a jewel from being banished. So these little cards are quite interesting, but we do not get to see a lot of it in action. Sometimes like it is quite hard to gauge when the merchant is appearing. So you do not know when should I hold the jewels in my hand to prevent them from getting lost in the tussle of selling the jewels, and when should I just go all out and sell everything as much as I can and see how many points I can get. So it is quite hard to tell, because the way that you randomize the merchant in the deck, it is really quite random. So you could potentially even have two merchant sales at one go, which is really bad, because then it is quite hard to actually sell anything and score points, and that's the only way you can score points. There's no cards that give you hidden points and stuff like that. If there were, maybe it might be a bit more interesting, because then I cannot, oh well, I'm so far behind, I'll probably not win anyway. Getting to mess with your other opponents when, let's say I thought I can sell my Ember, but then you actually got one more than me, and then you are the one that will sell the Ember and lost all my Ember. So that's quite fun. That's quite interesting. No, you can also, even just to bring down the rarity of the jewels, alright, you just throw as much of an Ember out as possible, and then that will increase the number of Ember that's on market and thus lower the rarity of the jewels, and therefore give less points to the player selling that particular jewel. So that's an interesting tactic that you can try. One of the things that also did not flow very well with us is that, let's say I'm selling so many jewels, and I'll look at the points, and the points I get doesn't depend on how many jewels I sell. So that's kind of strange, because I would assume that, well, yeah, maybe I flood the market with Ember, but I still get points equals to how many Ember I sold. So that feels more natural, but it doesn't. It's not in this case. It's just you only get one sale in a way of a jewel. So that's kind of strange. It's a bit counterintuitive in a way. The rule about how many jewels I'm selling, I need to put one set face down and put one set face down and put one set face down. It's also quite odd. I understand if you are doing it in turn order, then that matters in a way, but turn order doesn't change. So it could be that the player who triggered the merchant sale will now need to do it first. Like I show my first face down, then I show face up and face down. So that might be interesting. But I read the rules, and many people have read the rules, and we couldn't find whether it's turn order or is it simultaneously everybody put face down, face up, face down. So that if it was in turn order, that might be interesting as well. Might provide a bit more information as to what I'm trying to sell and whether that will matter or not, or whether I can mess with you or not. So I would say that you can see that it is a date. In a way, the design is kind of dated, 2003, right? So there could be a few more things you can add on to it to polish it a bit more and make it better. The refresh version is definitely much more pretty to look at. Oh, one last thing. So these are quite big cards you have in your hand. Alright, now the problem with them is that you cannot fan them, so you cannot tell at a glance what cards, what jewels you have. So I cannot put it like that, for example, and then I cannot tell what cards I have. So I need to actually open up and look at them and see, oh, I now have 2 amber. If it was designed such a way that I could fan them out in my hand, because there's no limit to your number of cards you have in your hand. So if I could hold them out like that and can tell immediately what cards I have, that would be much more better. But because some of the words, the text, the diagram is right smack in the center, so you can't really tell easily how many of these embers I have, and then the words also right in the center, everything is right in the center, so it's a bit hard to tell. So you actually need to hold, I mean, yeah, if you have big hands, that's fine, right? Or else you need to actually hold them out like that to be able to tell what cards they are. So that is also, I do appreciate the nice big cards. You have the nice artwork there, like for example, you can appreciate nice artwork there, but in terms of practicality and playing the game, it doesn't really help the functional part of the game. So all in all, I would say that this is a try before you buy. There are interesting bits to it, alright, but for me right now there's more issues with it than the interesting bits. So this is a try before you buy. Thanks to Cool Mini or Not for this review copy, and thanks for watching.